Hi guys, so today we're going to talk about bullying and a little bit about PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome. I think first I'm going to talk about PCOS before I go into bullying. So PCOS has been in my life since I was in second grade. My family lived in New Mexico for like a year, and I was as thin as a stick. And I was born and raised in Utah, and my mom got a job at a newspaper in New Mexico in Gallup. We lived there for a year, and then we moved back to Utah in the most amazing little country town named Corinne. Now, nothing was particularly wrong. It sort of happened gradually, I think, and by the end and the start of second to third grade, I was about 180 pounds. Nobody knew why. They took me to the doctors. I mean, it was a regular thing. And my mom thought I should go on a diet. So she put me, a little kid, on the South Beach diet. I remember only being able to eat meat and cheese, so my lunches were consisted of meat and cheese and water. And that's basically what most of my meals were: meat, cheese, water, and maybe a salad. And my mom did that throughout, I believe, my second and third grade year, maybe into my fourth. But then she noticed that I was not losing any weight. She was very strict about this, and she stopped the dieting, and she didn't know what to do. I mean, I was very active. I played a lot with my friends outside. We bike ride. I mean, back then, you could bike ride wherever you wanted to without any worries. And there was like two sides of Corinne. There was Corinne, the city, and then there was West Corinne, which is pretty much I would say, the country of Corinne, where the farmers lived, and it was also called the boonies, which is just out in the middle of nowhere. And I would bike ride out to see my friends in West Corinne, and that was miles. I mean, it could be 5 miles out into West Corinne, and I would get a big jug of water, and I would just bike right out there, and without any problems. And I would still gain the weight. And like I said, I was an active kid. So you would think I would still be thin as a stick. I was not. So entering into intermediate school, I was still a very active little girl, riding bikes, playing, doing what little kids do when you're that age. But I was still severely overweight. I don't even think my mom weighed me at that time. I know if I went to the doctors, they weigh you, but I can't remember what my weight was. I'm sure it was in the high 100s. And I wasn't really bullied in elementary school. It it was a typical elementary school, like, kids were kids, basically what it was. It wasn't severe taunting or anything like that. I had plenty of friends in elementary school that have followed me throughout my years in schooling. So back to intermediate school, it started getting rough. People started treating me differently, and I started feeling my self-esteem drop. And as my self-esteem dropped, I started getting depressed. It wasn't so severe when I was a kid, not yet, anyways. Um, Sixth grade sort of was an iffy sort of stage for me. I got new friends, and I still had my old friends from elementary school. So sixth grade wasn't that bad, but it was in seventh grade where it really sort of went high on bullying. Uh, I know I haven't hit the points of what PCOS causes, and the big one is weight gain, weight gain and growth of hair where you shouldn't have hair, like the face, the chest, the stomach, and you also have hair loss, which I don't. My hair is so thick that it wouldn't even matter how much I'd lose hair, and it's hard to conceive, and when you have a period, it hurts like the dickens. Didn't have my period until my early 20s, and I was freaking out because I didn't know what to do. Anyways, back to my 7th grade story. I can't really remember much of 7th grade, especially the interactive parts of it with other kids. I think the only things that stood out were the bad points, which was being bullied. There was a part in 7th grade where we had our first dance, and I went because I didn't know what that consisted of. Being still a kid and being in 7th grade, I didn't know what that consisted of. So I went, and it was my very first sort of taste of big bullying, where girls and boys were like poking fun at me and everything because I was overweight, and it was pretty much no guy wanted to dance with me because they didn't want to be made fun of. They didn't want to dance with somebody that was big, etc., etc., etc. I mean, they didn't really outright call me names or anything like that, but it was a pretty prevalent, being poked fun of because of how I looked. And, that just worsened my self-esteem issues. But at the same time, I was still the active little kid. I still went out and played with my friends, and I still bike ride and everything like that. But my self-esteem was slowly dropping, and me seeing my self-worth was slowly dropping. I mean, I didn't show it outright because I was still a kid. So it was like, I don't know how to explain it. But it did affect me in the long run, I can tell you that. And so we go this in 8th grade. It was the start of our first trimester of 8th grade. Side note, in Utah we have trimesters. Well, specifically in Brigham City, we have trimesters. We don't have semesters. So the start of 8th grade, I had an art class, and I got bullied in that art class by 2 girls, and it was pretty much the same thing. I was fat. I would never, look pretty, etc., etc. Nobody would date me. And I mean, being in 8th grade now, I was getting into, you started having crushes, and you started wanting to date, you started wanting to, you're sort of growing into yourself. But instead of me growing into myself, I was growing more, I think, not like I was growing more into being away from people because I was being bullied and my self-esteem was low, my self-worth was low. Um, it sort of was also affecting my grades and what I was doing. But it wasn't a major cause of my grades, but it was part of it. I can't exactly recall any other cases of being bullied except for like a few, but I don't want to talk about it because that one is a really touchy issue because it involves a kid that had his own problems and uh, he never really figured out how to get over those problems, and I'm not going on from there. Uh, so, as I'm talking about bullying and thinking about bullying, I hear a lot of news nowadays about bullying, cyberbullying, bullying in school. I mean, bullying still happens when you're an adult, but when it happens as an adult, I think they call it harassment more than bullying and or abuse. But I just think that we need to stop this epidemic somehow. I mean, it's not just up to the parents because a lot of parents are good parents. And they find out that their children are the ones being the bullies. And some really know how to teach the child the lesson of how not to be a bully. But others don't even do anything about their child being a bully. And that is an issue, and also that the schools aren't really doing much or paying attention to what's going on around them. And this is an epidemic, and it's a very sad epidemic because the kids end up taking their own lives because they can't handle it. And it's getting to the point where it's overwhelming, and it's not just happening to kids that are overweight or have mental issues. It's happening to beautiful, beautiful girls or handsome boys. It's happening to everybody. And, you know, I hurt when I see that because I think of myself. And I just want people out there to know that you need to look at others as you would want to look at yourself. Treat them as you would want them to treat you. Because in the long run, you can make somebody's day worthwhile. You can make them decide to not do what they're thinking about, and they can feel joy in their life once more. They can continue being who they are born to be. And I just really hope that we all get this under control and we stop this epidemic. Continuing on with PCOS, I've had it since I was, like I said, a kid. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 18. My highest because of weight because of PCOS was 325 pounds. And I ended up getting a gastric sleeve, which helped some, but not a lot. It helped me lose some weight, but not a lot of it. And I still have self-esteem issues because of it, and I myself, even as an adult, was verbally and mentally abused because of me being overweight. But I'll go into that in the next video. So I want to leave it here, and I guess in the next video I'll be talking about, I think I'm going to do something a little bit fun instead of a little serious. I will talk a little bit more about myself, so you gradually get to know who I am. But I think in the next video there is a really interesting festival that's going to happen this weekend here in Florida, where I live, in a small little country town called Interlaken. It's a mushroom festival. I don't like mushrooms, but I think it's going to be really interesting, so I'm going to go, and you get to come and join me, so we'll see how that goes. So, for now, remember to be brave, be you, be wonderful, be loving, and remember to love each other. Bye.